This video is to provide an overview of the new reimbursement packet that the non-point source program is now using for all new contracts. All contracts are reimbursement based, meaning that the contractors must provide the reimbursement packet, invoices, and proof of payment. When you receive a new contract, you will be provided with a reimbursement packet specifically designed for your contract. Instructions on how to use the packet will also be provided and are available on our website. The packet is an Excel file consisting of multiple tabs. Depending on the format of your contract, some of the spreadsheets may look different than the one I'm presenting today. However, the main tabs all work the same. The packet has 7 tabs, which we will go over today. The main tab where you'll enter most of the information is the Reimbursement Request tab, which in orange. This tab links to the cover sheet and task sheets. If your contract is by category, you will not have a task sheet. So the Reimbursement Request tab is where you enter all of the reimbursement requests. The sheet is set up to help you track your budget and invoice details. When you receive your packet, your budget will already be included based on what was in your contract. All you will need to do is enter the amounts either by task or category, depending on your contract, under the invoice in which you're on. So as you can see here, we have it under invoice 1, we've entered our information. What I mean by different forms here is this is a contract that is by task, and so therefore there's task listed in the left-hand column. If this was by category, this task 1 would be replaced with personnel, task 2 would be travel, and so on down the line. So that's the only difference between the two different kinds of contracts. If your contract is by categories, you will not have this task tab as well. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So the top portion of the sheet will track your overall budget. So you can see here, it gives you your total budget, how much you spent on invoice 1. And if you scroll to the far right, it tells you how much was expended year to date and your balance, your budget balance. If your contract includes match, next you will go to the match tab and you will enter the match for that invoice. So then if you're requesting reimbursement for mileage, per diem, or personnel, we have 3 supplemental forms that we ask you to complete and submit with your reimbursement request. These tabs do not link to the rest of the workbook. These are supplemental forms that must be submitted with your request if applicable. All right, we'll start with mileage. You will enter the information as requested. Again, if your contract does not include tasks, you can leave the column A blank. Personnel would be how it is in your contract. So whether that says project officer or project manager or administrator, whatever is there, that's what you'll include there. The date, start, location, destination, and then you'll enter your mileage. The total amount is populating from whatever mileage is included in your contract. Okay, and then the only other thing to do here is to make sure that you have the correct invoice up top. On per diem, again, this form includes the rate per day included in your contract. What you'll need to do here is enter the information. When you enter dates into this form, it'll automatically populate the number of days and then your total amount due. And then the last one would be personnel. You would enter your personnel, the task, and then you put your numbers. Your hourly rate is the rate that is in your contract. It'll auto-populate your total amount. And then, as we'll discuss here in a few minutes, we also will need proof of payment that individual was paid for this for their time. And so you'll just check this box that yes, you have submitted the proof of payment. Again, update the invoice number at the top as well. Once you've completed these sections, you will then go to the cover sheet. On the cover sheet, you will need to update the invoice month and year. and the invoice number. So again, this should correlate with whatever number you are on the reimbursement request sheet. And as you'll see, it auto-populates automatically your current expenditures and your current match. So then you'll review this information, ensure that it matches the request you are submitting. And then you'll go to the task tab. If your contract includes tasks, you will have this sheet. On this sheet, you will need to update the invoice number as well. Again, it links to the reimbursement sheet. So it's important that that invoice number is correct. Ensure that the information entered is correct. The total amounts are correct. The other thing we have here is a status update on where you are with that task, whether it's not started, in progress, or completed. So due to formulas in the file, you will see that there are 2 cover sheets and 2 task sheets. For invoices 1 through 15, please use the green tabs that are labeled invoice 1 through 15. After invoice 15, you will need to use these last 2 tabs for invoices 16 through 30. Okay, so then you'll go back to this cover sheet. If everything looks correct, you will save the cover sheet and task sheet, and if applicable, the mileage, per diem, and personnel as PDFs. Once you've saved them as PDFs, you will sign the cover sheet. We encourage you to sign the cover sheet using Adobe PDF if possible. And then we will go into what a packet looks like. So this is what the reimbursement packet looks like. You'll have the cover sheet with your signature on there, the task tab if you have that as part of your contract, the mileage sheet, per diem sheet, personnel sheet, again, if you are requesting those reimbursement for those items. And then we will need a copy of the invoice from either your subcontractor, your for supplies, equipment rental, any invoices that you've received that you're paying. And then proof that those invoices have been paid, whether that's a check showing that you have paid the contractor, a check to your personnel for their time or for their travel. Some other options for personnel, you could provide a voucher, like this would be a voucher for travel. Again, we don't need to know, we just need to know that they were paid at least the amount that's being requested in the reimbursement packet. Or you can provide a pay stub for an individual. In this case, we do not need to know their full hourly rate. We just need to know, we just have to have their name and the hours they worked. It has to show that they worked at least the hours that you're requesting. So the paychecks and the reimbursements have to be your proof of payment for those reimbursements have to be equal to or greater. So yeah, so like I said, once you've got your packet together, please make sure you have it signed. You'll submit this to your project officer. Your project officer will review it. If they believe that everything is correct, they will check this invoice accepted box at the top here, sign it, and send you back a copy of this sheet for your records. This is, if you've had a contract with them in the past, you might remember us providing an acceptance letter. This will be your acceptance letter and proof that the invoice was submitted. So once the project officer selects invoice accepted, signs it, they will send a copy to you, and then they will send the invoice off to our financial team to process. So if you have any questions, please reach out to your project officer or check out our website where the instructions are. Thank you.